Are you ready for Dr. B's final?
I don't know. I'm afraid it might be hard, but he's a really good teacher, so we'll see.
Hi, gang.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Joele.
Hi.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Well, welcome, everyone. Today, as we talked about, is going to be our final review. We're going to talk about the ZPD, flow, and self-efficacy. These are all things I learned at UF. And now I just have my girlfriend who makes me this excellent energy drink, so I'm going off the wall today. And I get to teach all you guys about it. So let's go to our first topic, the ZPD. Anyone know who created the ZPD?
I do. Lev Vygotsky.
Perfect. The ZPD, or Zone of Proximal Development, was introduced by Lev Vygotsky. Vygotsky was a Russian psychologist and the founder of cultural historical psychology. He explained that ZPD is the distance between what a child can accomplish on their own and what they can accomplish with assistance from others. It can also be thought of as a distance between what they can do with their own current skills and what they can do with the help of someone with higher skill. What a child can accomplish on their own is considered to be their actual level of development, and what they can achieve with assistance is their potential level of development. A person's ZPD is not permanent. As they develop higher skill levels, the potential development level becomes their actual development level, and a new potential development level is established. Children need to be challenged just beyond what they are capable of in order for them to reach the potential development level. And here's Dr. Davidson, a developmental psychologist, with her thoughts on the ZPD.
The zone of proximal development is the region in which a child is able to do a little bit more than they can do on their own with the help of a more experienced adult or a more experienced peer. So it's kind of that region where they're growing. It's the region where they're sort of stretching to do something that they couldn't do on their own. A good example from the CDC that Diane, who's a preschool teacher, does all the time is with working with the kids on early literacy skills. So when they're learning their letters and she's asking them to try and identify sounds and words, she might say something like, one of the children might be drawing a picture of a skyscraper, and she says, skyscraper, what does that start with? And she'll really enunciate the S, and then one of the children will say S, and then she'll say, what else does S start with? And some of them might pause, and so she might give a little bit more prompting to say, one of our friends here sitting at the table, and she might start to say, and then someone will say, Stefan. Right, so they maybe aren't able to think of a name right off the bat that starts with S, but with a little bit of prompting or scaffolding from her, they're able to come up with a name of someone that starts with S. So that's an example, and that happens all the time with reading, with numbers. So, for example, if a child is counting and they're able to count to 3. She might help take their finger and put it on, say they're counting plastic bugs or something. She'll take their finger and put it on the bugs, and they'll count to 3, and then she'll help them move their finger to the next one and say 4, 5, 6, 7. So she's sort of stretching what they're able to do on their own and giving them that practice at doing it, but also not doing it completely for them either.
The next topic we will talk about today is flow. Flow is an active process that commonly occurs during someone's favorite activity. It can also be called in the zone, ecstasy, and rapture. When in flow, a person is fully in the moment and has no distractions. The conditions of flow are complete control, seamless thought, loss of self-consciousness, transformation of time, a merge of action and awareness, and effortlessness. Flow occurs when challenge and skill meet each other. Here's All-American honorable mention Nick Wolf talking about his experiences with flow. Alright, here we have Nick Wolf from the Rollins basketball team. We're going to ask him a couple questions about flow. So, Nick, describe to me what flow is to you.
I'm glad you asked that, actually, Palmer. To me, flow is a deep state of concentration and focus where everything else but the task at hand is blocked out. So time, the outcome, and all other external factors just don't matter, and you're focused on one thing, like one shot.
Cool. Describe yourself when you're in flow.
It's actually, I can't really describe how it feels. It's pretty much a unconscious state where I feel like I can do no wrong. There's been a couple of games this year where I just felt like I couldn't miss or when I get the ball, I was going to do something right.
Cool. And what triggers flow for you?
What triggers flow is when, the challenge matches my highest potential skill. So when we play teams, that are real good, that, serve as a challenge to me and our team, I think that's when I'm in the flow state the most.
Right on. All right, thank you.
All right, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Moving on from flow, our next final review topic is self-efficacy. These two topics are very closely related because in order to achieve the sweet spot and flow of high challenge and high skill, one needs to believe in his or her skill. So let's start with the basics of self-efficacy. It comes from the social cognitive theory school of thought. This perspective posits that human functioning is viewed as a product of the dynamic relationship of personal, behavioral, and environmental influence. In other words, how people interpret the results of their own behavior informs and alters their environments and the personal factors they possess, which, in turn, inform and alter subsequent behavior. The most common personality trait associated with self-efficacy is confidence. While it helps to link these two together, self-efficacy is much more a task-specific belief that we bring with us into different domains. Self-efficacy affects many things, including the choices we make, the effort we make, how long we persist in the face of obstacles, and how we feel. Now, let's talk about where self-efficacy comes from. 4 principles affect the development, growth, maintenance, and loss of self-efficacy. The first is mastery experience. This is one's previous performance of the task or activity. Mastery experience is one of the most influential sources of self-efficacy. Individuals engaged in a task interpret the results of the task, use their interpretations to develop beliefs about their capability, and later act in concert with the beliefs created. Naturally, outcomes interpreted as successful raise self-efficacy, while those interpreted as failures lower it. This unfortunately leads people who possess a low sense of efficacy to often discount their successes rather than change their self-belief. The second building block of self-efficacy is vicarious experiences of observing other people perform tasks. This could include anyone that you're sitting next to or read a book about. Vicarious experiences are usually less powerful than mastery experiences, unless one has limited prior exposure to the task and vicarious experiences become more sensitive. Vicarious experiences are particularly powerful when observers see similarities in some attribute and then assume that the model's performance is indicative of their own capability, much like, if they can do it, so can I. This should sound familiar to you in accordance with Daniel Coyle's concept of ignition. The third source of self-efficacy is verbal and social persuasions. These can include exposure to the verbal judgments that others provide. This can be extremely hard because we have no control over the things that people say to us. It is usually easier to weaken self-efficacy beliefs through negative appraisals than to strengthen them with positive encouragement. Here is a video clip of Tiger Woods and his father showing an example of it.
You don't really instill anything into a child. You encourage the development of it. But I would do all kinds of things to mess him up. Just as he's beginning to swing, I'd drop my whole bag of clubs. And he would stop. They would look at me and grit his teeth. And then he would stripe it and turn around and look at me. And never say a word, but that look said, "Now take that." It's a tiger, and I promise you that you'll never meet another person as mentally tough as you in your entire life. And he hasn't, and he never will.
The final source of self-efficacy is somatic and emotional states such as anxiety, stress, arousal, and mood. So when it comes to self-efficacy, let's remember that it's not simply a matter of how capable one is, but how capable one believes oneself to be. ZPD and the match between high challenge and the point when one reaches potential skill level is a crucial part of entering flow, and the golden rule of flow shares the same principle as self-efficacy, that it is based on how someone perceives his or her own skill rather than his actual ability. Therefore, the key foundations behind these 3 topics links them together in a unique relationship within a person's development. All right, everyone, good luck on the final, and remember, good times, noodle salad.